32 years ago, the birth of Dungeons & Dragons significantly shaped the way fantasy adventure board games would be played forever after. What people might not know is just how great an impact Dungeons & Dragons has had on video games. Over 60 titles have been sold under the D&D license, an achievement only Mario can appreciate. D&D's influence on the gaming industry is unparalleled, from its humble start on a mainframe computer to the recently released Dungeons & Dragons Online Stormreach for the PC. We present a brief historical look back at the D&D games that shaped the role-playing genre as we know it. 1975. Simply known as D&D, this primitive role-playing game ran only on the Plato system, one of the first worldwide computer networks. The game has achieved lasting fame as the first game to introduce an end boss. Players would venture through a giant dungeon in search of an illustrious orb. To complete the game, players had to defeat the gold dragon that protected it. 1982. Dungeons & Dragons made its home console debut for the Intellivision with Advanced Dungeons & Dragons cartridge. Players traversed through an overworld where they entered caves and battled hundreds of enemies with a bow and arrow in real time. Its overworld to combat gameplay is still influencing games even today. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons cartridge is considered one of the best console games of the early 80s. 1988. Apple II owners got their first glimpse of Dungeons & Dragons with Pool of Radiance. Appearing on several other systems as well, the game and its many sequels were sold in gold boxes in honor of its groundbreaking game technology, appropriately named the Gold Box Engine. Players would explore battlefields from a third-person perspective and engage in turn-based combat in first person. The Gold Box Engine helped spawn 10 more D&D games. 1990. When Eye of Beholder came out for the DOS operating system, players received one of the deepest storylines ever seen in a computer game. Eye of Beholder was heavy on text, difficult puzzles, and plenty of real-time party-based combat, earning the title numerous awards and accolades. In the game, you and 3 heroes investigated the underground sewers of Waterdeep, only to find you're trapped inside by an evil lord named Xanathar. 1991. With the help of AOL, Neverwinter Nights became the very first graphical MMORPG ever, paving the way for epic games such as Ultima Online and today's EverQuest. Its simplistic gameplay style was similar to the Goldbox series, but online. The game's success helped initiate a smash hit sequel in 2002. 1998. Arguably the most critically successful game under the Dungeons & Dragons license, Baldurs Gate raised the bar for traditional RPGs. The game heavily stressed character development not just through combat, but through the player's moral choices as well. Gamers loved its distinct battle system that combined turn-based combat with real-time action. With several expansion packs and ports for nearly every system, its popularity is far from gone. 2002. After AOL pulled the plug on Neverwinter Nights in 1997, fans finally got to return to their beloved community, this time in full 3D. For the first time in Dungeons & Dragons history, players were finally given the tools to play as a dungeon master. More than 3,000 online user-created scenarios full of imaginative storylines and puzzles still exist today. 2006. After revolutionizing MMORPGs and influencing blockbuster hits like Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft, D&D is hoping to do so again with Dungeons & Dragons Online Stormreach. Called DDO for short, players can now embark on hundreds of online quests, teaming up with other players from around the world. Players face classic D&D monsters in real-time combat, actively attacking and defending with a variety of moves. The game's system of completing quests to earn experience and its focus on team-based dungeon crawling sets it apart from other MMOs. From plastic wizards and dice on the table to virtual worlds on the internet, Dungeons & Dragons has stood the test of time. Since it began over 30 years ago, the D&D brand has helped shape almost every fantasy RPG game since.